Hey, what's going on, lovely people? I hope y'all are doing well. It's been an interesting week so far. I've had one dog in the veterinary hospital and a bunch of other work-related shit. So it's been, needless to say, it's been exciting, to say the least. I hope y'all are having a not as exciting day. Although, you never know. It could just be crazy all around. So, what did I see? I titled this video, Are They That They're Paying Attention? Well, who's paying attention? Hey, what's up, Random? Hey, Loretta. Well, I was shocked. I went to a gun show freaking pothole. That's been there forever, but I went to a gun show this last weekend, and it was a gun and blade show is what they call it. And this show was very different from the ones I've been to, and it's the same organization. They do like a show every few months. This one was very different because there was a wide variety of vendors, and there was jewelry, were knives, clothing, backpacks. There was all sorts of different vendors, not just firearms, which I thought was pretty cool. Hey, Random. Hey, who else is in here? But you got the same jacket, yeah. They're warm too. They're like super fuzzy. But they also had a guy I know. Hey, Vision, what's going on, Trent? His name's, and I mentioned it actually in the live stream Vision and I did last night on his channel. His name's Preacher Bill. He's a silver and gold bullion expert out here, and I say expert because he runs basically a shop that they do currency, silver, gold, copper, collectibles, all sorts of stuff. Hey, Love and Life, good to see you guys. I went, I saw him when I walked in, and I'm like, Bill, I'll be back. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And he knows I have a channel, so I went and saw my other friends. And, we went, and my wife walked out with a Diamondback AR because apparently she needed to upgrade her arsenal. And when I got back to my friend's, his tent, so to say, or his table, and he had a bunch of silver. He must have had about 15 younger people. And when I say young, I'm talking freaking young. Like, they probably could not have gotten in there without a parent or an adult with them. There were kids ranging in age from 13 up to young adults, maybe in their 20s. And they look like college-ish age. I don't know if that makes sense. Hey, KP Heathen. And I'm like, okay. And these guys were all asking questions. No, Joe, actually, we're talking about guns and silver. So today, yeah, I'm switching topics. There was too much Poland and Russia and death and whatever the hell's going on in Israel. And yeah, I'm kind of done with that. She needed to add to her arsenal. She did. Y'all, I need to take a picture. She's got 4 custom pistols right now because the homegirl doesn't pick cheap. Right, we're talking SIGs and HKs. But she got that Diamondback. Now she needs an optic. But in any case, yeah, we were there, and the whole table, I said about AOC. No, and actually, yeah, the YouTube algorithm, because of Joe's comment about mounting AOC, he got put in some weird purgatory, and I had to actually get on a laptop to remove him from purgatory. So, and apparently it's unsubscribed people too, and I don't know how the hell that. I got unsubscribed from one of the guys I follow like regularly. Well, is he doing ACOG or red dot? We're trying to figure it out. It might have to be a holographic because it looks like she has a bit of astigmatism. And when she brings up certain red dots, she gets that starburst pattern, and she can't align the optic. So we may have to actually go to one of the bigger gun stores here and have her bring the rifle and test mount different optics on there Hey, Hayes Gray. No, it was out here, but yeah. So, in any case, folks, and welcome, Hayes Gray. Always good to have Navy in there to make snarky jokes from the back. Um, and no, the answer to everything is not a jackal. And Hayes Gray knows what I'm talking about. That was a party he and I attended together, and he and I are very close, believe it or not, folks. And yeah, it's always smart ass things. Wait, what was that? Dan H. Is the red color setting the eye off? We're not sure, Dan. We're gonna try Vortex Vision. And also, one of the guys at the gun store I normally go to, he said when we go there, they're gonna pull a red and a green EOTech. And yeah, exactly, red and a green EOTech. We're also gonna try the Vortex type optic. She's tried my ACOG. I have a true mil-spec ACOG with the tritium radiation sight in there, and she could see clearly. She liked it, but she didn't like that it has that little stupid chevron or triangle, and she said she didn't like that. So this is one of those purchases she's gonna have to physically try them, green, red, blue, and see which one works. Actually, I like the carry handles myself, Joe, but that's just me. I have one set up with an ACOG and the other two have carry handles. But in any case, at this gun show, on my friend's, table where he sells silver and bullion and all this other stuff, he actually had all these high school and college age kids there. And I was actually shocked. So I waited in line because, they were bombarding this guy, him and his buddies. They were like, well, what if I get a silver from this year versus that year? Does the value go up? Wait, what was silver before? What's the inflationary rate change of silver? It was to the point this guy who sells silver for a living actually had to pull out a book and look at a chart because they were just firing the questions. Gold bars of Costco now cheaper than from dealers. Joe, yes, I saw that. I wasn't able to see it personally, but I heard of that. And Dan, that may be the way she has to go. So we're trying to figure out. And actually, that's a good point. Maybe she'd prefer iron sights with a laser, and we just sighted. For her, it would be, if I sighted in at 50, that'll be accurate enough out to 250. If you zero at 50, you're back 0 to 200 per the ballistic tables on a 55 grain, and it'll put you an inch low at 25 and an inch low at 300. God, that's like a circle like that from 25 to 300. Honestly, if she ever had to defend herself with it, it would be a 30 to 50 foot shot, not a several hundred yard. But yeah, hey, Kentucky Survival. So yeah, these kids were all asking questions. They bombarded this guy. One maybe mid-20s kid, looked like a professional, like someone who just got out of college. He had his little suit and tie and all. And 37,300. If it's 37 meters, would be right, give really close to 50. The answer to everything is jackal. God, that was such a bad night, dude. We were so fucked up the next day. God. Anyway, yeah, the jackal story will have to be told on a separate video. That just went sideways so fast that night. In any case, Joe Morgan would have had fun at that party. In any case, these kids were just bombarding this guy with questions about silver and gold, and one kid decided to walk off with a bunch of collectible old dollars. One got a silver certificate, and finally that crowd of young kids, young adults left, and I was able to go. And I always, every time I see him, I pick up a couple of coins, partly to stock up for me on a budget. I allot so much per month to pick up some silver, but also to, I could buy online. I'd rather give it to a local vendor and support local party. I can have fun at any party. I'm very good at intoxicated. Well, it was intoxicated with drunken games that didn't involve violence. It involved smart comments. So yeah, it was a hoot. But anyway, I asked him, I'm like, Bill, man, what the, you got inundated with college and high school kids. I've never seen that. He said, buddy, I don't know what the hell happened. He said, I saw you at the show last October. I said, yeah, I saw you at the other gun show. He said, since then, hey, Dan, since then, hey, Fed Up, what's going on? He said, I've been getting hit by 20-year-olds and high school kids even. He said, apparently now they're on this Snapchat and TikTok and all this other shit. And he said they've got this whole following of kids who are trying to figure out how to hedge against inflation. And I said, well, hell, it makes sense. These kids grew up, think of this, our college kids right now were probably in high school during the Rona, right? And during the riots, all they've seen in their formative, like, young adult years, high school to college, has been inflation, recession, supply chain issues, Rona, and then Russia and Ukraine getting into it, and then they attacked Israel, and Israel basically flattened half of Gaza. All they've seen is war, chaos, supply chain issues. Hey, Suburban, call someone please inform my husband to no longer call while I'm watching a live stream. No worries, Suburban. And he's probably like, why isn't she picking up? Yeah, these kids were going nuts. He said one kid just dropped, $400. He took a whole stack of silver out. And like a little, that you can get the stack of them in the little case. And the kid walked off with them. I said, how old was that kid? He said, I was talking to that young man, and he's finished his first year at his new job, and he said, I'm going to invest. He got some stocks. He fixed his vehicle up, and then he said he bought silver. And apparently the young man was going to go look for 9mm and a new handgun so that he'd be ready in case of emergencies. And I'm like, that's a prepper in the making right there. Hey, Share Bear. And I was shocked, y'all. It floored me until he and I started talking about it. And I said, you know what? It makes sense, because these young adults, all they've seen is recession and inflation and supply chain. Love and life, yeah. And think about it, just historically speaking, silver and gold, hey, Judy, has been in use since the days of Pharaoh and Moses, right? And no matter what currency comes up in their interim, gold and silver have still been here, right? It's what, 4,000, 5,000 years of written history. If you use the Bible and the ancient Egyptian writings as a basis of written history, it's, hold on. That's amazing. Yeah, Fed Up, absolutely. And he said, I had a blast talking to them. These kids had all sorts of questions. He said they kind of caught me off guard in this gun show, because normally the gun show's like 25, 30 and up. And, you get a lot of retirees who just go there and hang out. And, hey, Canadian. And, hey, Watchman. He was so happy. He's like, I said, well, it's a good day for you. He said, it's more than a good day just for my business. Yeah, the kids bought silver and they bought books and whatever, and that's good for me. But he said, plain South to do, woo, Canadian, that'll be fun. It is actually weird, rainy, chilly, but not cold like Canada cold. So I would recommend the North Face or something like this. You don't need shorts this time of year. That I'll tell you right now. You might need a hoodie to throw under a jacket in the mornings. And then in the afternoons, it's like 65, 70 Fahrenheit. So just FYI. But it is rainy. So if you got sneakers or hikers, bring a small pair of boots in case you got to switch. I don't know what part of Texas you're going to, but certain parts flood really fast. So, yeah, but you should be able to get that medium, like the fall attire, and you should be okay. And there, just so you know, there are no known protests, riots, or other shit going on anywhere in Texas, other than the usual stupidity you get in the cities. Okay, yeah, if you're headed toward, like, the Gulf Coast area, I think they're getting a lot of rain right now. And that's about it. So, you should be fine. But in any case, yeah, he said it wasn't just good for me, like for my business, we made some money, but I was able to educate young people in such a way that it inspired them to continue digging, to continue learning. And he said, I even got one to say, oh yeah, I'll go swing by your church too, because I don't have a church home. I haven't been to church in 10 years. And I'd like to learn more about that. And he said, that's a good thing. So, hey, farmer. So it's, I guess that was a good gun show for a lot of reasons. And it wasn't just a gun show. Like I said, they had everything there. Was because, yeah, Kentucky. Yeah, I'm curious about what the hell happened on the border. Yeah, because I went to Fort Hancock and there was nobody at the border checkpoint. Like, it was just normal business. There were a lot of people in El Paso, by the way, on that subject, but it was all orderly, right? It wasn't like, oh, they're intense and they're running around and people with horses, yeah, chasing them up and down the river. They were just like, they got in line and, you know, the guy in the green uniform of the Border Patrol was like, come next. And he looked at their papers and he said, he gave a little check mark and he said, you go over there. And they went there. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on the border. But going back to the subject, they're paying attention. Like, this younger generation is actually, some of them, not all of them, some of them are showing their butthole on OnlyChat or OnlyFans or shit. But a lot of them are like, wait a minute. I need to learn more about this. I'm not understanding. And shame on our freaking public school systems that are not teaching practical skills. I used to take shop class. We had home ec where they actually taught us how to cook, how to clean, how to maintain a kitchen. And then part of home ec was understanding how to organize, you know, like your house, how to pay bills, and how much time, back when we wrote checks for everything, how much time to write it took for a check to arrive so you didn't get late fees. No, kids aren't as stupid. No. And but I think they're not being taught, Joe. And I think actually being shut down for 2 years really fucked a lot of them up, because we learned a lesson in our generations, right? And I'm older than Joe, but in our generations, if I was disrespectful to someone in the street, I stood a good chance of taking a punch in the head, right? Or I get shoved, or I get thrown out of the bar, or whatever. There was a consequence. And for about 2 years, people absolutely acted like shits, both online and in the streets, and there was no consequence. Now the world is back to normal. People don't give a shit, and consequences are happening again. There was that kid messing with Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson hit him 3 or 4 times, and then the guy was on the video afterwards saying, oh, Mike Tyson punched me in the face. By the way, that kid was being a complete douche to Mike Tyson. And I promise you, Mike was pulling his punches. We've all seen Mike Tyson hit people in the ring. Mike's not a wimpy guy, even at his age. And you could see he was pulling his punches. He was just giving him a correction. He was teaching him something. And shop class ended a year after well, like FFA even, right? My kids went through FFA and they learned all sorts of shit. Good stuff. And no, it's not back to normal, but the world is moving on, I guess you could say. But there are consequences again, right? So they're going out in the street and going, you need to address me in this way or that, and they're spitting at other adults and getting punched in the mouth. And they're like, oh, he assaulted me, or his words are violence. No, cabrona, you have no idea what a violence is. Okay, I've seen violence. I've been the victim of violence because I ran my mouth and someone was violent to me who I should not have smarted out to, you know? And I learned a lesson. You either be able to outfight or outrun the big guy you pissed off. But hey, Nunya. But seeing these young folks paying attention, learning, growing at a gun show. And it wasn't just like they love to say, oh, it's a gun show, it's all these white guys. No, they were Mexican, black kids, girls, guys, Korean kids, Vietnamese kids. They were all mixed together. I counted, I took a look at this little demographic. It was about at least a third female, if not more, and all different cultures, like at least 4 different cultures, maybe more. And I'm like, that's awesome. They're freaking learning. They're paying attention. And you know what? If we can educate someone, that's great. The symptoms keep, oh, Suburban, I hope you feel better, hon. I used to go to gun shows all the time when I was little kids, loads of growing up there. Oh, yeah. Common sense. Yeah, 30% do. But, yeah, folks, it was refreshing. They're actually listening. They're actually paying attention. The fact that they were in there asking what sounded like reasonably intelligent question. Oh, good for you, random. Shame on him. He should have been taking you the whole time. I can't go to a gun show without my wife. She's like, no, I want to see what's there. And then she runs me $500-600 if I'm not careful. I got to watch that one. Yeah, you know your wife's, someone told me, you know your wife's a keeper when she spends as much as you do at the gun show. That's mine. But, and we're friends with like the Cerakote chick down here. She's our FFL. So then the girls start commiserating, and then they start trading notes like, oh, if you go over there, they have this. And oh, shit, there's a C-130 flying over the city. Again. Y'all, I'll tell you what. I don't know what the hell is going on. The Air National Guard does touch and goes here. That's not unusual, right? They come like once a week. They do their, did she spend it on guns? Yes, she did. She bought that flat top skeleton front AR for herself, and then asked me to go to all the stores, and she picked her front. Well, I had a front sight, a flip up front sight in my bin of parts. We're optic shopping now. She got her, she put her four-end grips on, and she did it herself. She's just like, get me the tools. I'm going to figure it out myself. And, yeah, she just had a blast, man. I got an MNP. Hell yeah. Well, it's funny too, because I bought one for my wife who's very small, and it was too front heavy, and she's like, I don't like this one. And she's like, I'm going to pick my own. And so we went, and she found one she liked, and now she's a happy girl. Now we just have to accessorize the optic. That's the big battle. But yeah, going to the show and seeing these young folks asking questions about silver, about knives, about steel quality, talking to the old guys behind the tables about, well, if I'm doing this, what type of firearm would I be looking at versus that? What encouraged me is most of the vendors were not stupid. They were like, okay, well, what are you going to use it for? What are you going to, are you going to carry? Is it for home defense? They were asking the right questions. You get some guys who look, oh, she's 5'1" and change with boots on, Suburban, so she's tiny, and which is funny. And you wouldn't know by her personality for sure. But just seeing her go out, and all these kids, these young adults go out. There were couples at the gun show. There was a group of ladies looked like nurses at the gun show, and they were looking at the silver. Then they went and they were playing with knives, which never mess with a nurse or a veterinarian who has a knife, okay? Because all they do is cut shit open for a living. You just don't want to fuck with that. They were asking questions. They were paying attention. Oh, Suburban, you would definitely like her. Eventually, I'll get her on the channel, and y'all will love her personality. Assuming she doesn't get irate at some news topic and start going on little rants about communists in our government, which would be fun until like YouTube kicks us off. But but in any case, seeing this, and that made me think, you know what? All of creators and people in the chat and all that, if you get a legitimate question from someone who's younger than we are, right? I'm talking the kids in their high school, college, early to mid 20s, right? Not the 30 plus, you kind of already figuring things out. And to be honest, we never fully figure it out. It doesn't matter. I'm in my early 50s and I hadn't figured everything out yet. But we do. Uh, we need to try to help them understand. If it's a genuine question, if they're just being shits and asking dumb questions to annoy you, then yeah, don't waste your time. But if they say, why do I want to buy silver? Why do I want to buy? And that's why you'll see a lot of these oddball videos I'll do about how do you make coffee when you have Keurig cups, but you don't have a Keurig because the power's out. Well, most of us know how to do that. Hey, Food Forest. But they may not because nobody taught them. So let's teach them. Let's educate them. And as long as they're not being shits about it, it's in our best interest that our community grow. Well, Joe, I'm going to differ with you on that. I think there's a difference between a question out of ignorance and a question out of being a shit, which I guess would be a stupid question. If it's ignorance, like they're asking, hey, Joe, I don't know about this pistol, and it's genuine lack of knowledge, hence ignorant of the subject matter, we need to try to teach. Now, if they're asking dumb shit, like, yeah, well, exactly, yeah. If they're being sarcastic or they're being shits, then respond accordingly, right? But ladies and gentlemen, I was excited. I was really happy to see these young folks asking those kind of questions. At least some of them are paying attention. They're listening. And if nothing else, it probably wouldn't hurt to get to know some of those young ones. You might find some future members of a mag at a gun show who are younger, may not know as much, but are enthusiastic about learning. So folks, take that time. Yeah, because our society as a whole has failed to teach what needs to be taught. So if we can put all his energy there because he hasn't learned how to do it in a better way, possibly, Watchman. And you gotta measure it out, right? If the kid's being sarcastic and I've had people get in my live streams or even in my chats and get really sarcastic, or they're being smart asses, and I'm like, well, genuinely, I would do this because of this reason. And I'll get an email or a text after, or some kind of message going like, I really didn't expect you to answer my question genuinely. Thanks. Like, they're shocked because nobody took them seriously, and I answer them like a freaking adult. Hell, I'm the same way with teenagers. When my kids were teenagers, them and their friends, I had no filter with. I'd be like, ladies, have fun at the theater. I don't want to see anyone on the news. Nobody act like a hoe tonight. And they'd be, oh, Mr. Pete. I'm like, no, I'm dead serious, because I will call your moms and they will stomp you. And I'd embarrass the crap out of my daughter, but I've been invited to some of these girls' weddings, meet their new husbands and see the families that I haven't seen in years. And they're like, I'll never forget what you told me. Like, don't be that type of person. And that stuck with me. So we do affect them. So if I can take a chance at helping someone be a better person and get smart, great. If they're a perpetual shit, then, they can figure it out themselves. I got things that I can do that make our life a little extra. Yeah. Is a scope, before I go, is a scope on a rifle, maybe a laser on a pistol. Yeah, I've, ARF, my old person is anus. Oh, man. An anus. That's technically a correct scientific word, by the way, folks. Anyway, so folks, I wanted to leave you with that. The young folks were making good questions. They were asking good questions. They were listening. They were responding. And it's worth taking some time to help them if you can. And again, read the room. If they're being turds, then, react accordingly. But if they genuinely are lacking knowledge, teach them something. We might wind up helping someone who may help us in the future. You never know, right? But in any case, guys, I'm going to leave you with that one. I'm going to go, it's kind of lunchtime, but I ate a late breakfast, so I'm going to go and annoy my boss. And then, they annoy me all the time, so I'm going to go annoy them. And then I'm going to go find some other mischief to be in. You guys be good, be safe out there. Thanks for joining me. Be careful. And Joe, I hope the anus stops being an anus, man. Y'all take care. Be careful out there.